What's your inner resource? Today's conference, yesterday's activity and march, and what I am surmising, and I'm making some assumptions about who we are together. You are not the wallflowers in your neighborhoods and in your communities. Can I make that assumption? You're not the ones that don't nobody hear from you at all. You're pretty much typically the loudmouth ones. The ones that are always out there on the line telling your business and then in fact advocating for other folks' business when it ain't really your business in the first place. Yeah. You are the ones who day for day are doing the work of creating a better community, a better space and place for you and yours and your peoples and your mom and them, your dad and them, your children and them. Excuse me, I do speak Ebonics every now and then. I know I'm with some educators. I do speak African American English every now and then. Just to represent right there. You are the ones who give it and get it done all the time. I'm talking to you. Am I talking to the right house? Yeah. Theodore Parker said this, and it's been attributed to Dr. King, but Theodore Parker, he's a white dude, New Englander, a few years earlier than Dr. King said it like this: the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Most people have heard that, and they've heard it attributed to Dr. King, and that's okay, he can claim it. I believe that each of us has a thing that is driving us to do the things we do. You have a thing inside you. It was birthed in you. It's in fact encoded in your DNA toward being the kind of rebel rouser I think some of you, most of you, probably all of you are in some way or form. You are the people that somebody has said to you before, you talk too much. I used to say it to my daddy, you have a takeover spirit. You get in the room and you take meetings over, right? Yeah, that's some of you all in here. You get in spaces and places and all of a sudden the agenda gets shifted. The ideas start flowing because you are the very people who are taking the course of history and writing it yourselves, right? Now, if I'm talking to the right people, and I think I am, then the question I want to spend just the last few minutes, and put me on the time right now, I got 10 minutes and I'm done. 10 minutes, go. I know some of y'all do that. Y'all gonna put me on that time. All right. And I really do mean it, 10 minutes. I want to ask you, what do you use? What's the thing that is your well when in fact, after this week, some of us is just plain give out, right? I'm hearing about this thing in Mexico. I'm ready to turn up all over again, and I'm just now hearing it. But, you know, Baton Rouge, Minnesota, Dallas, now then they're turning up in Atlanta, and Chicago, y'all been turning up all the whole long time. And of course, Ferguson is dear to me, and they turned up in Ferguson. I can tell you that right now. We are just plumb give out. Some of you all are advocating in spaces and places. You are the unsung. I just met the woman that went up and turned up in front of Governor Christie the other day. Chris Christie. Where's she at? Where my sweetie at? Where's she? You all are, and I love the term, and I get to say it, and I'm a preacher. Badass teachers. I like to say it, just like, yeah. The question I want to ask, it's my job right now in these few moments to be somewhat inspirational. You all you've been giving yourselves time to do some skills building. You've been doing some networking, prayerfully and hopefully. You've been hanging out with the folk that's doing the thing, and you want to learn how to do the thing better than you did it before you came, right? It's my moment now to try to be inspirational, and I'm going to turn that inspiration inwardly a bit and ask you to think for a moment, pause just for a second, and reflect what makes you tick. Where does that thing come from? Well, that's your version of it. And that's a good version. But I want you to ask it inwardly and then pause for a moment. What's that thing? What's that inner motivator? Because the fact of business is, you do plumb give out sometimes. Do I have one witness in the? Yeah. You do get to that meeting and they start down that same thing again, and your eyes roll in the back of your head, and you be ready to turn over something and walk up out of there, never to return again. There are moments when you've been pushing and mashing on these systems, and these systems have a way, first of all, they never give you the manual how these systems work. So you get in there and they done gave you some way long time ago version of that manual. They have updated that manual 11 million times since then. But they hand you a piece of paper, they hand you a little book or something other, and then have you been in the space where they done changed the whole thing right before your eyes, right? You done did the organizing. You have done the homework. You ready to you getting ready to make it happen, and all of a sudden they changed the rules. All of a sudden they done baited and switched on it. And you come to a place where you done just had it. It's over. You're going to drop the mic. You're going to leave the room. That's it. You're headed to your classroom. Pack up all your stuff that you bought. You're gonna cuss somebody as you're walking out the door. You're gonna flip them the bird, or however you do that thing you do. Yeah, dream it. Yeah. You've been there. Got a witness? I'm asking the question now because if you have not sensed it, we're in this moment. It's a peculiar moment. Who would have dreamed it 40 years ago, 50 years ago, when Dr. King and others rallied here in '63, that we would be in a moment when there's a black man in the president's office? A black man in that White House. And things ain't changed very much. And I ain't trying to be political, but that didn't change it. And the fact of business, no one individual actually does in these systems, right? But I want to say that again. We're in a unique moment. If you can't sense that the whole world is kind of flipping on its head, that the other shoe feels like it might proverbially drop, and we might be headed toward something that you have never seen before, right? You turn on the TV, or something is turning up in Dallas. Or something is happening in Springfield. Places in space. Phoenix, Arizona. Ain't a whole lot of, but I stand to be corrected. It's all kind of stuff happening and jumping off all over the place. And you're situated in your community. You're situated in your circumstance, in your situation. And you now need that fifth gear. Everybody do me a favor. Take in a good cleansing breath. Take it in. Come on. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out. Come on, breathe in one more time. Breathe in and breathe out. What's the internal? That's something beyond the tangible. That internal, yet physical, yet spiritual. That's something that's in your head and in your heart all at the same time. What is the thing that drives you? Anybody ever shifted into fifth gear? You first of all got to be up to speed. You can't go from first gear to fifth gear. So I'm talking to the folk that's been rolling for a while. You up to speed, and yet now you need that extra juice because you got to pass to the next level. You got to get it done this time. We got kids that are struggling day for day, and they may lose out all the way around if you don't get it together, if you don't do what's right. And some of that is going to mean you're going to have to turn up courageously. I love what my nieces and nephews in Ferguson have taught me. They lean into risk. What does leaning into risk mean for you? I'm asking the question again. What's your inner resource? Let me read you something. I may not be what all that is within me that cries out for me to be, but I will not give up. I will use to the full every resource in me and about me to answer life with life. And in so doing, I shall affirm that this is the kind of universe that sustains upon demand the life that is to be. I dare, I wonder, I dare to act even as the tree acts. I wonder, I dare. Do you? It's the words of Howard Thurman, who's my spiritual teacher and guide. I'm going to ask you again, what is your inner resource? You take a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Grab a listening partner. Look at somebody, preferably somebody you don't really know, but it's okay if you know them, somebody you don't really know, and take 2 minutes. I'm going to call time and then y'all switch. Talk to that person. Tell them what makes you tick. Ready, set, go. that last statement and then switch, if you will. Switch, if you will. Finish up that last full thought and then switch. Finish that last thought. So, finish that last thought. What we say on the street is mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. I can tell some of y'all ain't been on the block yet, but y'all headed there. Y'all headed there. Mic check. One, two, 1, 2. All right. Thank you. Thank you for engaging in that little small exercise. Often we don't really tell what makes us tick. We just do the thing we do. What makes you pay attention? What makes you listen more carefully? What makes you sidestep danger? What makes you seize the moment, carpe diem? What makes you do the thing you just know is the thing you need to do because you just know it's the thing to do? What I'm asking you to spend a little time on and get clear, because now we need people not just with passion, but we need people who are clear. May not have been there before. What did Dr. King tell us? I may not get there with you, but I've seen the promised land, right? It is knowing that we got a space that we occupy while we don't occupy it yet. You with me? And we need people who are clear about where that is. I'm clear. We need to abolish mass incarceration. I'm clear. I'm clear. I'm clear. There is no more reform in education. We need to tear it down and rebuild. I'm clear. I'm clear. In this richest country in the whole wide world, shouldn't be nobody that want a job that shouldn't have a job. I'm clear. I'm clear. We ought not have anybody that wants somewhere to live ought to be able to call it 1973 Van Dusen Way if you want to. They ought to have a place to reside their head and get the mail. You can't even get no welfare check without an address. So I believe I'm clear. Yet, is it just me? But most of the folk talking at the mic, you can't figure out what they talking about. James Brown said it best, talking loud. Ain't saying nothing. By the way, he my prophet right along it through here. A lot of stuff he said is some wisdom that he wrote down in a song and made us wiggle with it a little bit. I'm clear that it's going to take your clarity, your ability to carpe diem in that moment, to point to the right way. And not only to point to it, but to use whatever resource and skills you have to affect the people sitting to the left and to the right of you. We ought to go that way. Because it's hard out here to be doing whatever it is that you're doing by yourself. Right? So let me drop another piece of word to you. If you're doing it by yourself, you're doing it wrong. Y'all looking at me funny, and not too many people said nothing there. But if you're doing it and you tired because you're the only one doing it, then you ain't done the work that you need to do to get some other people to come alongside of you so you can lift that thing together. That means you got to come out of where you are, come out of your silo, stop looking tunnelly and look broadly. There is a relationship to the violence that we are seeing on the street, to mass incarceration, to schools. There is what we call a school to prison pipeline. Am I saying something here? You can't talk about Ferguson without talking about Kinloch. That's why I'm just saying right there. Which means there was a town next door to Ferguson that in my time, I grew up in Ferguson. I grew up in Kinloch, which is next door to Ferguson. A town that had 25,000 people in it has now less than 300. There's a reason why Ferguson is what it is. In every one of your cities, in every one of your circumstances, in every one of your issue-based problems, there is a thing that happened before the thing. And there's a direct connection to the thing you're dealing with over there. But it means then you might have to come out on the line for Black Lives Matter, even though your issue is something else. There's a thing that might be just over the way that you might get some support for, but since your thing is only about teachers and unions, y'all ain't mad at me, are you? Not yet. Thank you, sis. Thank you, sis. Let me tell you what I mean. Since I'm a preacher, I got a couple of holy books I read. One of them holy books says something like this. Knowing what is right is like deep water in the heart. A wise person draws from that well within daily. Or let me tell you what my spiritual teaching guide talks about. Howard Thurman says it like this. Don't ask what the world needs. He says, ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs, people who have come alive. Let me close by continuing on that Thurman tip. He said this, there's something in every single one of you. Let me say it again because somebody didn't hear me. There's something in every single one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine inside you. It's that thing that made you say, Eureka, if you said it like that. It's that thing that said, whoa, that'll preach. That's how we say it where I'm coming from. It's that thing that got you excited to turn your present day into something different. It's the thing that made you run for office. It's the thing that showed up and you said, whoa, I'm going to do that right now, and you did it. Didn't have the budget, didn't have the money, you had a full head of steam, and you was going down there and you was going to get it done. It's that thing I see in my house, and it's a look, and I can't block it. I can hear sweetie, I'm talking about you. I can hear the change in the voice. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Because that means it's getting ready to happen right now. We're getting ready. Each of us has that thing. Thurman said it like this. He said, it's the only thing that is our true guide. And if you can't hear that sound of the genuine, then you'll spend all the rest of your life at the end of somebody else's string. So it's important to me that you get clear about what makes you tick. Because then, once you get clear about what makes you tick, you ain't bought by nobody. You're not owned by anybody. You are your own agent. You have your own ability. You have your own agency. And you can then change the damn world. Thank you. Peace.